What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. David here with David Owen Creates. In case you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Guys, I'm so excited to be back. I was thinking for this year, for the new year, I wanted to start doing a video every week where I show you guys a new crochet stitch, and some of you might not be into it. Totally fine. You don't have to watch the video. You can watch my other videos, but I figured I will add in a video for every week. Hopefully, you know, it's stressful working at the hospital and doing this full time. Obviously the past week I haven't uploaded any videos. It's been stressful. Like, I'm so tired and exhausted all the time. I'm just letting you guys know that. Well, you guys know, in the meantime, I have been making some blankets. I showed you guys, I think the yellowy one I first did. If not, I'll go grab it real quick here so you guys can see it. If you guys followed me over on Instagram, then you would have seen it. But this is my first overall, like, project, well, blanket that I made, like, big project that I completed. This took me like 2 or 3 months to make. I don't know. Just because this was all like a half double crochet pattern. So the whole thing was half double crochet. But it's like the way I did it to create this like lined pattern. There it goes, like some line, solid, line, solid. I wanted this like pattern. I don't know what came about. I just did it. It's so comfortable. I sleep with this every night. Absolutely love this blanket. So there's that one. So then I made the other blanket, which is at my brother's house. I made that for my niece, Hope, and she absolutely loves it. It's super thick. It's kind of thick like this one, but this one has a little bit more of a stretch to it where you can see the holes through there. And so it feels a little bit like lighter. It doesn't feel as heavy. Absolutely love this blanket. I completed this one in about a couple weeks, to be honest. So I had ended up using a pattern of, so this one was just double crochet, and I will get more in depth in that as I go with these videos. So if you want to create your own blanket with me, then I suggest stay tuned for the future. So I'm planning on making a sampler blanket, and I figured you guys could make one with me. This way I can teach you guys every single stitch that, you know, I teach you. And you can even go and get yarn from Dollar Tree. So you can make this very affordable. So I have like several different ones. So they first came out with this Just Yarn. It's by Premier. It's very soft. You get 131 yards per color, depending on kind of the style. So this one is mixed, and this one's called Flowers. It's so pretty. It has a mint yarn with blue and orange like wrapped throughout it, and it has these little like random tassel pieces kind of just poking up through there on the yarn. So that's really pretty. You only get 111 yards of this one. So that's the Just Premier, and these are very soft. Like, I really like them. And then Dollar Tree actually came out with their own version, Crafter Square. You get 220 yards, which is pretty good. It's the same size. It's a size 4. This is a size 4 as well. And size 4 is just a medium yarn, because they have like thin yarn, medium, and they have like thick yarn. So they have like numbers that number the yarn. The bigger the number, the bigger the yarn. The smaller the number, the smaller the yarn. It's like thread. So I'm going to be working with size 4 throughout this whole video. There's one more thing I wanted to show you guys. I made this for my mom, and it's so cute. I'm obsessed with it. So it is like a pocket shawl. I'm going to put it on. You guys might not be able to see fully, so I'm going to move the camera over here. Okay, so you put it on like kind of draped over your back. So like the back side looks like that. It's like a large scarf. And then it has these like pockets, and your arms just kind of go around into the pocket like that. And I added all these cute little tassels on the, well, I guess fringe all over the bottom. It's so cute. It's comfortable. I love this. I think my mom's gonna really like it. Or you could also wear it, you know, like a scarf, I mean, if you wanted to, but it's just an oversized scarf with pockets, so that's pretty much what it is, and this is what the back looks like. I just love it. It's just so, it's so in, you know. So this was really fun to make, and I just used several different stitch patterns to create this design. And overall, this took me about a week to finish, so that wasn't too bad. So if you guys are interested in something like this, and you want me to show you, I could totally do that. Just leave a comment below, and we can maybe make one together. Ugh, okay. Alright, so for this project, I'm also going to be using, so you guys can eventually, if you really do get into crocheting and you want to pursue it and like make more projects, then I would invest in like a little pack of crochet hooks, and there's different sizes. I'm going to try and stick with just a couple sizes throughout this whole entire project. So basically what I'm planning to do is each week I want to show you a new stitch. So every Wednesday I'll post a video. Mitra, no! Come here. Every Wednesday I'm going to post a video of showing you guys a new stitch, and I'll use a different colored yarn. I'm going to try and use yarn from Dollar Tree, but you can use whatever yarn you have in your stash, if you have a stash of yarn or whatever. And then we're going to be using, I'm going to try and use like the same hook. Find the hook. Okay, so this is a 6mm. It says it's a J/10 6mm hook. I got this from Hobby Lobby, but they have so many different sizes. Like this one is a size 9mm, so you can see how much bigger it is. And then this one here, this is a 3.75mm. It is smaller, so this would be more for your detail stitches, like really close stitches. They have smaller ones, even smaller. But this does work well with, it does work okay with the size for yarn. And I really like this size for the project I'm doing, which is a size 6mm. So it says it right here on the little piece where you hold. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So at the end of our project, so every Wednesday I'm gonna post a new stitch. We're gonna do a couple rows. I'll give you guys a week to complete those rows. That way I'm not going too fast with the project. So by the end of the year, we will have made an entire blanket. Now, if you guys want to continue with just the stitch you learned, that's perfectly fine, and you can just like make an entire blanket with that one stitch. But I wanted to go ahead and make a sampler blanket, which means every 2 to 4 rows is like a stitch. And then like the next rows is like a completely different stitch. So I want to use contrasting colors, like different colors within each row, so you can really see those stitches pop. Okay? At the very end, I'm going to do a border around the whole thing, and that will tie it all together, and it will look like a really beautiful blanket. So I'm super excited. And then this way you guys can go back and reference and look at your stitches on the blanket and say, oh, I want to try this stitch out for this project. And you have like a sampler blanket to kind of just look at for your own reference, as well as use it as a blanket. So if you guys are interested in that project, these videos will be posted every Wednesday. I'm super excited to start it. So, and just FYI, this might not take all year long. We might get done with it in a couple months, let's be real. So when you first get your yarn, here's our skein of yarn, acrylic yarn. Usually in the middle, on either side, you want to pull that chunk out, and we're looking for the end, and we want to pull from the middle. We don't want to pull from the outside. So we're looking for that end. I'm going to just pull like probably a whole chunk out, because I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it is. Sometimes manufacturers will leave that piece out, but sometimes they don't. We are fishing for an end. I cannot find it. This sometimes is really annoying. Like the more I pull, I don't know what's happening in the inside. Okay. So sometimes I'll just pull the whole thing out like that. And I know inside here, this little chunk, somewhere is the end piece that I'm looking for. This whole thing's just falling apart. It's totally fine. And there it is. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you how to create the slip knot. Just pulling the yarn like this. And then you're going to cross it over. Insert your hook. And hold this piece down like this. Insert your hook into that loop. Then you're going to take the longer piece of the yarn and kind of drape it over all of that. Like this. Okay, and then you're going to pull that piece of yarn through the loop that we made on the hook. And then pull this tight like so. You're going to pull that tail and that will tighten. This is called a slip knot. And then you can pull the working yarn or the long piece of yarn. If you pull that, it's going to make the loop tighter on the hook. Okay, so now we're going to start the chain. So you're going to take the long piece of yarn, which is called the working yarn, and we're wrapping that around the hook from the back side. Make sure your tail's down like this. You can hold it in place for right this minute. I kind of hold it with both my fingers like this. And I'll use this finger to hold this loop in place. Then we're going to pull this new loop through this loop. Just like that. And then you can kind of lightly tug it. You don't want to do it too tight. We want it pretty loose like this. So then we'll pull our working yarn so it'll tighten the loop on the hook. And wrap around the hook and pull through the loop. Wrap around the hook, pull through the loop. So it's just a repetitive process of wrapping and pulling, wrapping and pulling. Okay? So this is a chain. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and complete a 5 feet long chain. So once you're done, you can measure the chain. For this purpose, I'm not going to do it because I've already done it. My camera just stopped recording for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to do just a couple more here. So to go to the next row, you're going to chain 1. So that's the same thing. This is called just chain 1. And I like to pull it upwards like this. So I know it's going to be the first of the next row. We are going to be starting, this is the single stitch. Okay, so to start the next row, we have our 1 chain that's right here. We're going to skip that one and go to the next one. And you can tell by the top piece right here is like curved. So it's the next one that's curved. See, that's curved up and over like these humps. So there's one that we skip because that's the first one of the row. We go to the next one here. We're going to insert the hook. I like to pull the working yarn a little tighter around the hook. Not too tight, but we don't want it like, loose like this. You want to make sure that this back piece is, on that hook. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to wrap around from the back to the front of the hook, pull that working yarn through the first loop that was on our hook. Now we have 2 loops on the hook. So then we're going to wrap around the yarn again and pull through both of those loops. And that is a single stitch. Okay, and then we can just repeat this process down the entire chain. So obviously this larger hole is where the stitch is laying on right here. So we go to the next one, which is right here. And I'm going to poke my hook right into that loop, wrap around, pull through the loop. Now we have 2, wrap around, pull through 2. I'll do it again here. So right here is our next stitch because this bigger hole, you can see right here, the yarn is pulling it. It's pulling it because we just did it. So we skip this one because we just did that one. We go to the next stitch, which is right here. And we wrap around the back of the hook. We're going to pull through the first loop. We got 2 loops, wrap around the hook, pull through both loops. So I hope you guys understand the concept. So again, skipping the larger, going to the next. And that only becomes larger like that, this hole, because the yarn is tightening and pulling on it. So it doesn't really have anywhere else to go but up where the stitch is. So I'm going to go into the next stitch. And I'm only going through like one piece, but once we go to the second row, you'll go through some more yarn. I'll show you guys in a second. So go ahead and complete this row. This is row 1 on the foundation chain. There's a bit of a hole there, but as you keep going, it should work itself out and look like this. Here is our finished foundation chain with row 1 that is finished. So at the end here, there's a little slip knot. We don't really worry about this piece right here. So this was our last hoop. I'm going to pull that out. So in case you do mess up your work, you can always like insert under this first loop right here and pull until you get to that loop, and then you can start over. If you've messed something up, maybe you went into the same hole or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part really quick. Get back towards the end here. Okay, I think this is the last. Yeah, right here. It's kind of large because I've already went through it, but this is the last loop of the row 1. So that completes row 1, but we do want to try and pull see how loose it is? We want to try and pull that in a little bit more, as much as possible anyway. Okay, so the same thing, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn the work once we get to the end of the row. So over the hook, pull through the loop. We've chained 1, and then we're going to turn the entire piece around so it's facing the other direction. And I like to have my yarn facing whatever direction I'm going, which is usually always this way because we turn our work. So that loop's still kind of big. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it. So now we have 1 chain or stitch right here. That is the start of the second row. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to find our first stitch. And it's not this one because this is the turning point. This is number 1 we've completed. And we're looking for the second, which is here. And you want to go through front and back loop. So as you can see on the top, you have 2 loops. Like this is a pair, this is a pair, this is a pair. As you go down, you'll kind of feel out which ones are the pairs. You can kind of see them. But we're going into this space here and not through this front loop or the back loop. We're going through both. So you want to make sure both of those are onto the hook. Okay, I can't get it for some reason. There we go. That's both of the loops. We're wrapping around the back of the hook, pulling through both of those loops. Now we have 2 loops again. Wrap around and pull through 2. Find the next stitch. So we just did this one. You can see right here how it's facing up. This is the next stitch where my thumb and finger are. So again, we're going through that, through both those loops. We're wrapping this around, pulling through those. Wrap around and pull through 2. And just keep continuing this till you get to the end of row 2. Okay, and this is what our row 2 will start to look like. Here's row 1. You can kind of see the difference in the height. Okay, so I'm approaching the end of row number 2. So here's our last stitch. It's kind of hard to find because it's not as open and big as the other stitches, but it's right here. It's like curved upwards. So there's one loop, and then there's a second loop right behind it in the back. We want to make sure we get both of those. Okay, wrap around, pull through. And I like to pull the loops up to the top of the work, like that, just so I make sure everything, like all the rows and everything are going up and they're not being smashed together and squished. So it's going to create a really nice edging here, you guys can see. So then we're starting row 3, which is the same as row 2. We're going to pull through one, make one single chain, single stitch, and turn the work around to the other side. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're skipping the one we just made and going to the next one, which is right here. And we're going through both of those loops, because that's the stitch we need to go through. Both of those. So it's always insert your hook, pull through the first set of loops, wrap around the hook and pull through both loops. Insert the hook, wrap around, pull through the first set, wrap around and pull through the second. Okay, are you guys following? I hope this is pretty easy tutorial on how to do a single stitch crochet. This is so easy. Pretty sure I learned this when I was a child. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below, but we're going to continue this all the way, and we're going to create 4 rows all together. And don't count your foundation chain as one. So the chain we made at the beginning is just called a foundation chain. This was row 1. This was row 2. I'm on row 3 right now, and then we'll create another one, which is row 4. So just don't get the foundation chain mixed up and added in. But you're going to create your desired length. I'm doing about 5 feet. I will show you that I've already completed. I just wanted to get on here and show like a smaller version just to quickly get through it. Okay, here's the end. Right here's the end. That's the last of this row. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, are we following? So here is my 5 feet long of 4 rows completed. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the end looks like where I started. This is the side. We have our little tail hanging. So I will show you guys how to weave in the ends, but for now we're just going to keep going. We can do that at the very end of our project. I'll show you guys later in another video. My kitty's sleeping. You guys can't see anything. Dang it, the light went out. This is why I can't do videos. I'm so over it. I will see you guys in the next video, and we're going to go ahead and start with a new color, and we're going to move on to a new stitch. So complete 4 rows, and I'll see you guys in the next video.